you say that again real quick?
And right there is why you will have all the bitches.
we were talking about we are live. I'm waiting for the intro to load, but we were talking about how like I don't really give a fuck about like sometimes I do when I leave the house. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna wear this and this. It looks good together. But I don't wear anything to impress anyone but myself. Like,
Same.
and I'll wear fucking pajamas and my pink unicorn shirt just because I think it looks good to me. Like, I'm gonna be the only motherfucker dressed like this. There's a chance somebody else might be wearing jeans and a white tank top. There's no chance in hell. Somebody stole my wardrobe. Unless it was Muck Sticky. That's the only person that would steal my wardrobe.
Do you want me to do some plug-in while we're live, or are we waiting for the intro?
We will get to our plugs here in a minute. Don't go anywhere.
Pink Sock Podcast, your go-to destination for a wild and unpredictable ride through the realms of music, comedy, cannabis culture, and beyond. With your host, the fearless, the irreverent, Mike Usenik, presenting eclectic, entertaining, enlightening, surprising content. Join in the fun, push boundaries, challenge conventions, explore the spectrum of human experience. We won't shy away from any topic. Entertainment, exploration, connection. Join us.
Bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I love that intro. I love how I know she didn't do it on purpose, but there's a part in that video where she says, I think something along the lines of explore the spectrum of entertainment. Like she says of entertainment, and I'm like, you bitch. What you're going for. And I love it. That voice is actually my friend Katie. She's amazing. But
thank you, Katie.
We did that intro for a little bit and then we kind of quit doing it because I switched from one streaming thing that streams for me to another. But it's glad to have that back. I'm glad to have that back. What do you think of it? Does it describe us well?
I like it. I like it. It definitely is different because it's like very educational sounding, and then you look and there's two dudes sitting here without our shirts on.
This is OnlyFans at Dark, which by the way, I did start an OnlyFans recently, which come see me perform comedy live because I have a full story about starting OnlyFans and I'm adding to my set. It's not, see, where people get it wrong is, am I posting some suggestive shit on there? Of course, but you're not going to see my wiener on there. Basically what I'm using OnlyFans, unless you pay, but what I'm using it for publicly, like public, what you can see is I'm posting whatever the fuck I want. If I feel attractive that day, I'm going to post a shirtless pic. I'm going to post a suggestive ass pic. I'm going to post a boudoir shoot that I'm proud of. I'm not going to hide that side of me over there, but you're not going to see my dick either. I don't like the insecurities of other people or like, oh, you're showing too much skin. Are you afraid you might get turned on? Like what? Like, what the fuck?
And with that note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is I.
Please don't say
MVP
after I said that, bro. Please don't say that.
Okay, of adult ages. It is I, the MVP Masters champion, the main effing man, D.A. Morris, Pink Sock Podcast, favorite guest, right here.
Bro, you made us seem creepy as hell when you started that. You're like, children of all, sitting there without a shirt on. We just talked about OnlyFans.
Well, you wanted to get canceled.
I had a guy on here one time. You would love this guy. This ain't wrestling related, but his name's Brad Goss. He is one of my favorite authors. Not because I love his books, because there are authors that I enjoy more. It's his style. He's a comedian, right? He writes adult books in the style of children's books.
I've seen his work, and it makes me laugh.
He has a book about how his father is a hairstylist for underground workers, which we call miners. The name of his book is Daddy Grooms Miners. His titles are all like innuendo.
Oh Jesus! Oh
They're all
Jesus!
innuendos, though.
And to redeem myself a little bit, I am not naked. I am not wearing a shirt because it is hotter than hell outside right now. But you know, I wrestle in trunks, so like
You're gonna see more. Than that. That's why
yeah,
I
you're
love,
seeing more of me.
that's why I love it when like I bring up like I just recently started an OnlyFans and there's like the wrestling friends of mine that judge me and I'm like, bro, you wrestle half naked with other dudes.
Okay, okay, like I've seen some like way crazier shit in a wrestling ring than you'll see on OnlyFans. Okay, like
I've seen, all right, in the words of Joe Rogan, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being gay, and I'm not saying wrestling in and of itself is gay. But if any of that shit happens outside of a wrestling ring, you'd have some questions.
God damn it, let me get goddamn back body.
Dude, I love wrestling though. And speaking of, let's get into what's going on in the world of wrestling today.
Yeah, because a lot of crazy stuff's going down, bro. A lot of crazy stuff.
And also, shout out to Mal Black. He's going through a horrible time right now, and he does have a benefit that he's doing right now. So, shout out to Coop. He's doing stand-up comedy. I wasn't able to make it out, but it's him and Alisea. They're doing stand-up, and the council's performing. So, shout out to them. Go ahead and let's talk wrestling.
All right, first things first, WWE proved that they can have one hell of a haunted house tour with this Wyatt 6'6", and it says 6 as in SICKS and then a letter 6. So is it Wyatt 6 or it? But either way, it was awesome, dude. It was freaking awesome.
You know, it'd be even more amazing as if the name of it was Wyatt 6, like SISKS, SIX, and then the number 6. So it's Wyatt 666.
That's what I mean. Like it just the energy that they brought was something that I thought that you would never see again on WWE, and it was great. I freaking loved it.
You know what gives me goosebumps though, and it's going to. He didn't speak much when he came out, but the moment Bo Dallas, his Uncle Howdy, starts talking, it's going to give us all tears because he can sound and act just like Bray.
Yeah, and like the fact that with each member playing one of the puppets, it was all stuff Bray was going to be doing eventually, and to see his legacy, his stories continue, it's something like we've never seen in wrestling before. Because usually when something happens like this, they put a kibosh on it and they move on to the next thing. No, they're still going through with it.
Yeah, Vince, though, when Vince was in charge, he was never in for long-term storytelling. Like, even when the wrestlers are still in the company, he'd scrap a story after a short amount of time.
Yeah, and then how can we not mention just tonight, Joe Henry showing up in NXT? It's like some big things are happening in wrestling, man. It's amazing.
Or AJ Styles returning to Pro Wrestling Noah while still under a fucking contract.
Right? Like, oh my gosh. And for anybody watching this, like, I get you're probably sick of hearing us talk about wrestling because every time I'm on here, we talk about wrestling.
We'll change that. We're just excited right now.
Oh yeah, like how could we not be? Like big things are happening, man. Big freaking thing.
All right, this is maybe the stoner wrestling fan in me, but how cool would it be? All right, hear me out. How cool would it be if on Impact, everybody's chilling out in the ring, you have a wrestler come out, I don't know who right now, maybe Moose, comes out and is like, I'm the best champion, nobody can beat me, and then the lights go out, and you are, I am,
Oh my God. If AJ would show back up in TNA, everybody would lose their minds. And I want it so bad.
You know what would be even better? AJ Styles versus Chris Sabin for the X Division title. If AJ loses, he retires.
I'm not going to get too deep into fantasy booking that, but it would still be cool to see AJ back in the TNA ranks for sure. At least one more time before he's done.
But the storytelling, if AJ loses, he retires, would be crazy because he's not in Impact. So are they going to give him the belt, or is WWE going to allow him to retire somewhere else?
Yeah, or is it a stupid loophole where it's like, okay, he retired from TNA, but he's still in WWE, so
Not to mention any names. How apeshit was that when Ric Flair came to TNA and was like, I retired from the other company?
like I love Ric Flair, but at the same time, in one of my favorite matches of all time was him and Shawn during the retirement match. One of the best WrestleMania matches ever, one of the best retirement matches and angles ever, and he burned it all to the ground. I kind of wish he wouldn't have done that.
His TNA run, and I'm not trying to shit on him because he is one of the best wrestlers to lace up a pair of boots, even though his entire gimmick was stolen. But that's but he did his best with it.
If you want a good laugh, watch any Scott Steiner promo on Ric Flair.
Watch any Scott Steiner promo ever. That guy was unhinged.
Especially, yeah, good shit, and I love it. Like, I'll watch this shit for a good laugh, but it's like, man, it's so awesome.
You know what's awesome though is those botches. I watch them wrestling promo botches. The one that I love the most is Hulk Hogan. He returned to WWE, and now he wasn't used to doing live in the ring promos. He was used to like recorded promos. So he got into the
backstage with Mean Gene, brother.
Well, he got into the ring and he was supposed to be feuding with Vince McMahon, and Vince came
I remember
out.
that.
Hulk is like, "You thought you had the right gay man, brother," and he's like, "I mean,
you just think I was the right gay guy at the right time." Great.
You know what would have even made it any better? If after he said that, and fucking Ultimate Warrior came out.
See, it's funny you brought up Hulk Hogan because one of the things I wanted to talk about today was the NWO in the year 2002 when they came back into WWE.
I think, now, you can hate me for this if you want, but I think they brought in the best members the NWO has ever had when it comes to in-ring talent.
Oh.
Because Hulk Hogan, by the time he switched to NWO, he already was past his prime. He didn't have very many good matches when he was in the NWO. It was all show. He held the belt for too long. He like hoarded
Very
that
true
thing. He fucking hoarded that thing.
Okay, so since we're going to talk about the NWO, let's talk about their run in WCW a little bit. It should have either ended or the beginning of the end should have started at Starrcade when Sting beat him for the belt. But it just kept going way too long.
Because Hulk refused to lay for Sting.
Right, and then it started splintering off into different factions and I'm going to try my best to name all of them here. You had NWO, NWO Hollywood, NWO Wolfpack, NWO Elite, NWO Japan.
I have a question though. NWO and NWO Hollywood was kind of the same thing. They're both black and
not
white,
really. Yes, but they were Hollywood because it was Hollywood because they had the NWO Wolfpack, so they couldn't just be straight NWO.
Fair. Yeah, that is true. I thought they just went by NWO at that time.
No, they were called NWO Hollywood, and then you had the NWO Elite, and then the NWO B Team, and then the NWO Japan. There's just way too much New World Order up in that piece.
Now, the best ripoff of NWO, and I didn't even view it as a ripoff. I viewed it as its own stable, was the LWO.
LWO was good. And they were a rip, but at the same time, it was a rip that made sense. And even now, with shout out to Joaquin Wilde, somebody I know personally. Oh, look at that name I just dropped over there. But the LWO was pretty good. BWO was amazing. It was just at one point it was too saturated and less simple.
I loved the NWO for what it was, but looking back,
gotta put this down.
I think the NWO would have been more successful. And yes, Hogan's heel run was amazing, but I think it would have been more successful if they would have revealed the third man being Ric Flair.
There was talks of it being Sting.
True, but Stinger's always a WCW guy through and through.
That's what would have made the turn so big. Like, because Hogan wasn't really a bad guy till NWO. So
right.
Sting was the same way.
We got hard questions. Who's better in your opinion, NWO or old school DX?
Ooh.
I'm going with DX. They're more entertaining.
They were, but NWO had like 60 people at one point. So
yeah, it's too hard to keep track of. Like their entire roster at one time was at least in NWO at one time.
there was like 60 people in the group at one point. And at that point, it's not a group; it's a roster.
Yeah, like it was so bad that they had NWO versus WCW games. They had fucking their own game.
But like I understand they wanted to represent like they were their own brand invading. But what really made the NWO like catch people's eyes was it was ex-WWF guys coming into WCW running roughshod. Now imagine if in 2002, 2003, when they had the NWO come into WWE, if it was all old WCW guys. I feel like it would have changed the game, man. It would have made things a little better, I think.
Make the invasion angle instead of that. Have it be like what you said, WCW guys coming in, invading and shit, and then eventually implement like ECW guys. Honestly,
I think it would have been just cool if you would have just had like a full-out brawl with the three different brands. No allies, just ECW, WCW, and WWE all going at it.
You know what also would have been smart for Vince to do? He was originally planning on having...
Not shit on some girl's head?
Well, that too. But Vince's idea originally, from what I've heard, was he was wanting WCW Nitro to stay. And he was wanting to have both brands run. Now, revealing Shane McMahon as the owner was cool and all for a WWE swerve, but why not put your issues aside and let Bischoff run it?
Dude, to be honest with you, who knows? And then we could sit here all day and night for weeks at a time just discussing what they should have done, what they could have done. But at the end of the day, what they did was what they did. And was it good? No. Do people look back on it fondly? Yes. So is it really that bad of a situation?
So we will get back to the WCW the NWO invasion, because I had a full storyline idea that I had written in the past about this. If the contracts were right. All right. Dustin Schultz. Do you think ECW could ever come back? I know I'm rewording it, but do you think ECW could ever come back with their style that they used to have? Or was that just for the times?
No. Reason why, you've seen the magic trick. You know how it was done. You have people like CGW, Game Changer, and all these other promotions doing it. It ain't special anymore. You know what I mean?
The only time it would be special is if they had the right amount of edginess. These companies are going just for violence. If you had the right amount of edginess in the storylines like old WWF did, like Attitude Era, then yeah, maybe that could work. That was the appeal of ECW, though, is you couldn't tell the difference between reality and fiction because they were beating the fuck out of each other.
To an extent, yeah. Yeah. To an extent. But I just feel like it could never be done like that again. It was of its time. It was the nirvana of wrestling.
If you want to watch something like ECW, watch GCW.
Yes, absolutely. GCW. I know CGW still does stuff. They're also very hardcore extreme.
They're much more violent than anything ECW's ever done.
Yeah, because I don't think I've ever seen a weed whacker get used in ECW the way they do in CGW, or the Cage of Death, or the Tournament of Death, or any of that stuff. So, and then you got, if you really want to go old school, comparing FMW to ECW.
Yeah, but wasn't FMW when it was first founded, like towards the end of, like ECW was still around kind of when FMW came around?
Yeah, they did some cross promoting.
That's what I thought. What was it? Frontier Wrestling? It
was Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling.
So it was like a martial arts division with wrestling. That's interesting.
Well, the original thing that launched FMW was it was a wrestler versus a martial artist, and then they just kind of kept the name. And then at one point it became a orphaned acronym, so it was just FMW. It didn't mean anything.
Oh, kind of like XWF with Hulk Hogan. The X means nothing.
Or like how WWE, even though we all know it as World Wrestling Entertainment, legally they are an orphaned acronym. They're just WWE,
and they
like
tried
KFC.
that. They tried that with WWF, but Pandas didn't like that.
Damn you, Pandas!
Do you think that not Vince, but Triple H or The Rock or whoever's in charge right now, do you think they?
You were right by two names there.
Yeah, I was right about both of them. Now, Justin does ask, I feel like WWE is going under. If they could put hardcore, do you think it would save them? I don't think WWE is going under.
Nowhere near it.
But I don't think hardcore wrestling would hurt if they implemented it correctly.
A little spice on your dinner ain't a bad thing.
No. Like TNA does hardcore now.
TNA's never stopped doing hardcore matches, but they don't make it their whole shtick. Like a I believe it was like 2 months ago, they just had another Monsters Ball match, and Abyss ain't even in the company anymore.
I find that weird. You're doing a gimmick match for the Monster Abyss, and he's been retired for like 3 years.
I think it's been longer than 3 at this point, but God, how time flies. So it's hard for me to tell.
Well, it's hard to tell because I do believe he did like a one-off match.
But again, TNA still gives you those little tastes of hardcore here and there if you keep an eye on it. But you can't make the whole buffet hardcore. You just can't.
Like AEW tried with death matches.
AEW is another one that does okay, but they do a lot of hardcore matches with not much build or story. It's just like, hey, next week on Dynamite, we're doing a death match. And it's like, why?
Shouldn't that be on pay-per-view?
Well, they did. They did do a cross promotional thing with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They called it a Texas Chainsaw Massacre death match. Jeff Hardy versus Jeff Jarrett.
Was it?
And it was okay. It was okay. I didn't mind. A lot of people shit on it, but
was it just
like?
Was it just?
It wasn't light. Oh, I'm sorry.
Was it a hardcore match or a death match?
They promoted it as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre death match, but it was more just kind of a hardcore match. And yes, there is a huge difference between death match style and hardcore wrestling. A lot of people don't know the difference, but there is a big difference.
The difference is each death match has its own gimmick, and it's a lot more hardcore than a regular hardcore match.
Well, like in a hardcore match, someone will get hit with a chair. You might see some brawling in the crowd, whatever. Death match, there's a high chance someone's going to get their jugular cut by accident.
Isn't it weird that Sting's last match was damn near a death match?
As far as I'm concerned, it was. As far as I'm concerned, it was a death match.
Like, fuck, Sting. You never had a death match in your career, but you retire in one? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck
like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, anybody who's going to jump from a 15-foot ladder, miss everybody, hit glass in the floor. Like, sorry, that counted as a death match to me. If glass is involved, it's a high-quality death match somewhat.
That was bad camera angle, though, because that fall did not make sense unless you see, like, live footage from the audience. Because it looked like nobody was there at all, and he just fell.
Oh, and this is something, a little piece of advice for any promotions out there that want to do death matches. Make sure you announce to the audience not to get in the way. Make sure you make space, because I've seen footage of guys doing death matches with light tubes and stuff in the crowd, right in front of children. It's like, come on, guys.
That's glass, man. Don't have that around kids. Didn't Jeff fuck up a high jump too during his death match?
It's been a minute since I've seen the match. I think he did.
I remember hearing in like 2008, so it might be like not true now, but I read somewhere that Jeff Hardy in 2008 did an interview, and I remember being a kid reading this in the WWE magazine, I think it was, and he said he never had a wrestling-related injury, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, considering you see him wrestle now, and he's pretty beat up. By the way, and let me apologize right now for Mike and myself, for any ladies watching this. We don't mean to get you pregnant, but we are two sexy sons of bitches right now.
I meant to. I'm not.
Mm.
Yeah. If you want to see more, subscribe to my OnlyFans.
Cheap plug.
Oh shit! I can't wait to like talk about it on my comedy because I've got some shit.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to do another stand up gig. They were fun. You know, the one I did was fun. I want to do more definitely. So
it's a fun, dude. Like it's a fun time. It's nerve wracking sometimes because you're like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. But once you get up there, something takes over my soul, dude. Like my soul's like, I'm going to fucking.
The biggest piece of advice I can give anybody, whether it's stand up, whether it's wrestling, whether it's music, go in it with the mindset of having fun first. And if it turns into things, awesome. But don't make that your only reason for doing it.
Legendary comedian George Carlin gave some good advice. I was watching an interview and they said, what do you aspire for? What is your advice for aspiring comedians? And he said that don't focus on the audience. You're doing it for you.
Mm-hmm. If you think it's funny, someone else is going to think it's funny.
He said, if you bomb, but you was yourself and you did your best, fuck them. It was the audience's fault, not yours. Because you might bomb Sunday, but Monday doing the same set, you might kill.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is the audience. You have to find.
Heck, I remember when I did my set, there was a joke I thought was real funny that no one laughed at. I looked right at the crowd and said, screw you, I think it's funny.
If you want to see a really good crowd work, this comedian was very nervous all the time, but he is a legendary comedian. His name is Mitch Hedberg.
I think I've heard of him.
I saw one of his performances, and now here's something he used to do. He had stage fright, so he would wear sunglasses all the time and close his eyes and follow the laughs. Now,
I can believe it.
But one of his jokes that he told was, I wear this backstage pass so that I know when I'm upside down. Fuck you. Fuck you. I think that joke is funny, so I'm leaving it in the set. He continued. He just didn't. Another joke that I loved of his, it was dumb, but it was funny, is he said, I like to play really loud music in my apartment building, but my neighbor obviously doesn't like the loud noise because he pounds on the wall. But I like to fuck with him, so I'm like, go around. I don't know what you're doing, but I ain't got a fucking doorknob. You're gonna have to come to the front door. Like that's his humor. One of my favorite quotes is, and I have it on a shirt somewhere, I think. It says, I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too.
Oh, shit.
But with that being said, what is the difference? Because you're a wrestler. Is there much of a difference between doing stand-up comedy and doing a promo in front of an audience?
Yes. For one simple reason. You are trying to get some, and I've seen guys get on the microphone and get crickets. Mm-hmm. The similarity is you want a reaction, but with comedy, for the majority, you're trying to get the ha-has.
Yeah.
With wrestling, you're trying to make them believe, yes, I want to kick this guy's ass, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. It's more of just trying to get them to realize, hey, this is where we're going with things. Not so much trying to get the crowd to respond. Now, I've seen guys, and I've been a part of promos where they've given me the microphone, and I had to stop because the crowd was booing me so loud.
See, that's interesting because there are some comics, and I'm friends with a couple of them, that don't necessarily go up on stage for the ha-has all the time. They go up there to see if they can get people to go ha-ha over shit they shouldn't go ha-ha about, and trying to teeter the line of, am I going to get my ass kicked tonight?
Because those are the best jokes when you're not supposed to laugh, but you can't stop yourself.
Well, a buddy of mine said that with comedy, I would rather get a negative comment on a video, or I'd rather get somebody groaning in the audience than dead silence.
It's
Because
also
he
good.
said hate comments, believe it or not, he can reply to, and they go back and forth arguing, or him just trolling them. That's what he does. And then getting really mad. That helps the algorithm just as much as positive comments.
I know I did. I posted a clip of one of my last matches with Tyler Grayson, which, by the way, July 3rd, Tyler Grayson, Charleroi Market House, Charleroi, Pennsylvania. It's done, brother. I'm going to make sure that you never get a shot at my MVP Masters Championship again. I am going to beat you so bad your own mother isn't going to recognize you. But back to what I was saying. There was a clip where he did what was the move is called Trouble in Paradise. It's a flippy kick, and he popped me right in the head. And someone commented saying, you know, it's supposed to look real, right? And I commented back like, it fucking felt real.
You should reply back with, so is your girlfriend's orgasms, but here we are. That's why I'm a comic. Dude, I'm an asshole sometimes with my comedy though, because I go on.
You gotta be.
I go on Facebook now, not looking like people go on there to argue. I go on there to troll people because I have fun with it. Because I plan on including it in my act. Somebody made a comment the other day, made a post, and it said, "Here's my pride flag," and it shows the American flag. I commented under it. I'm like, I didn't realize the American flag was gay, but congratulations for coming out, I guess. But hey, you know who my dream opponent is if I ever get into wrestling?
Listening.
This guy. Fat fuck barrel boy, bro. We were
talking about this before.
Dude, this dude's name is Fat Fuck Barrel Boy. His finishing move is a 450 splash, but he's never went for it. That's that would not work nowadays. He was a gimmick in 2008.
Oh man, like so I'll tell this story since we're talking about insane stuff here. I was in a feud with a wrestler named Sam Squatch. He is the world's smallest Sasquatch that someone had found, captured, and trained to be a professional wrestler.
Bro, I didn't know we wrestled.
No, but it gets better. It gets better. So Sam Squatch would dance to the ring to Jungle Boogie. So I challenged him in our big final match. I challenged him to a dance battle death match. He danced, I danced, he danced again. I punched him in the face with brass knuckles and won the match.
That's a weird. You're telling guys, if you think wrestling's fake, explain that. I saw this video. If you think wrestling's fake, explain this. And it was some pro wrestler. Forget who it was. It was in like a wrestling company. I think DDP was the name of the company. They're a gimmick wrestling company. This guy was wrestling an invisible man, and they were claiming it was John Cena.
I've done that. I have wrestled the Invisible Man and lost.
Was yours John Cena too? Because I think you told me last week it was, or yesterday.
Yes, it was. It was John Cena. Of course, it was hard to tell because you couldn't see him, but
bro, it could have very well been either John Cena or God, because God had a wrestling match too. He's undefeated in wrestling, ain't he?
See, me and JC are buddies, man. I'd hate to whoop his dad's ass, but I'm going to hell for that comment.
Is that a match that everybody wants to forget? Shawn Michaels and God versus the McMahons? Is it?
I did till you brought it up, asshole.
That should have been at WrestleMania. Shawn Michaels versus God. Did they win the match?
No, did they? No, I think the Spirit Squad debuted and like killed Shawn before the match was over.
Can we please just forget about the Spirit Squad and the fact they're still around?
There's a couple of them I think still work the indies in the Spirit Squad.
They do. They used to wrestle House of Hardcore as the Squad.
That's what I mean. So, like, good on them for making a paycheck, as far as I'm concerned.
Nick Nemeth should bring them back.
No, I'm not touching that one. I'm not touching that one.
You know, speaking of touching, remember Rico?
Segway.
Remember Rico? Speaking of touching.
Rico.
Remember that shit?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
We kind of like, a lot of wrestling fans tend to forget this era of wrestling because Rico was arguably the storyline that ruined Billy Gunn's push.
I think freaking Billy Gunn and Chuck Palumbo's Billy and Chuck thing was amazing.
I thought it was too, because it shows that being gay is okay. However,
yeah,
you could have done an actual gay wrestler.
Yeah, a lot of people would say that. I think, honestly, the funniest part of that whole deal was when they were doing the commitment ceremony and they were like calling it off, and he goes, "Hey, we're not gay, and there's nothing wrong with gay people." Got the biggest pop. Yay! There's nothing wrong with being gay.
That was a good, yeah. It was great, but I think Billy Gunn deserved the world title by that point, and they just kind of like pushed it down and down and down and kept him in a tag team.
Billy Gunn could have been a contender if not for one line by The Rock. And that is when God is speaking to him, he goes, "Listen, Justin, my name's Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is."
You know who else didn't get a push they deserved, bro? Fucking Hurricane.
Hell yeah.
For the simple fact he beat Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
He should have at least been IC champion once. At least IC.
Yeah, because look at it. The only person to beat a big name and not get a push before then was fucking Sean Waltman when he beat Razor Ramon. But even then, Razor Ramon was never a world champion. He was an intercontinental champion. You had this man, you mean to tell me, you had this man beat The Rock and you didn't give him a big title?
Not just The Rock, 2002 Rock, like Hollywood Rock.
Yeah. That would be the equivalent. All right. That'd be the equivalent of 1-2-3 Kid beating Stone Cold, like 1998 Stone Cold.
But it also shows you the credit to The Rock for going, "Yeah, I'm the biggest star in your company. Sure, I'll make this guy look great." And it was so memorable.
The part that upsets me, they did nothing with Hurricane after that.
That's true. That was that was another problem with WWE. They would get guys so red hot just for it to kind of peter out. Like Zack Ryder was another one that should have gotten way more than he did.
Another one, and he was a legend by this point, so I'm not going to call him like an up-and-comer. But the fact that Booker T lost at WrestleMania against Triple H after they did the whole racial build-up,
the whole setup, yeah. Especially at the end of the match when he hits him with the pedigree and takes forever to pin him. Like, oh my
lord! They had a tough injury because Booker T hit him with everything he fucking had and didn't put Triple H away. Triple H hits one pedigree, takes 5 minutes to cover him, and then wins.
Yeah, I was not a fan of that. Booker T should have won the belt that night.
After that, you people comment that Triple H did on fucking Raw?
Yeah, like throwing money at him, telling him to clean it up, calling him boy. Just people like you don't get to be world champion, even though he's a five-time WCW world champion.
So, do you agree with Paul?
I got so excited I knocked my camera down. I'm sorry.
Do you agree with Paul Heyman's comments at ECW One Night Stand about JBL, where the only reason he was champ for years because Triple H don't work Tuesdays?
No, because JBL himself has admitted the reason I was champion was because everybody was hurt. Guys were hurt, and other guys couldn't turn, and they really wanted to have a bad guy on top for the chase. And he stepped up.
People tend to forget that JBL became JBL literally overnight. Because Farouk got fired from WWE on television because in reality, I think it was just he couldn't take the ring anymore.
I think Farouk was retiring, yes.
So JBL was like, "Oh, you're done." And he thought Bradshaw was going to go with him. And then it came out that no, he's this big broker in New York, and he's this
legitimately.
Yeah, he wrote his own book and shit. And he came out with that him being JBL was the most real version of him we have ever seen. And he had some great matches.
Oh yeah, he made John Cena. I'm sorry, you can say what you want about John Cena or JBL was a shitty champion. He made John Cena.
He
If it
laid
wasn't for JBL, he would not. John Cena would have never reached the heights he reached.
Exactly. WrestleMania 21, JBL 1 year as champion gets toppled off by John Cena.
The hot up and comer that everybody loved still at that time.
Yeah. And at the previous WrestleMania, he won by beating the Big Show for the United States title.
Yeah. Like the
Now, one thing I don't agree with John Cena. I don't think he should have held the WWE Championship or any. He held so many titles in such a short period of time.
Yes and no. Because a lot of his tag team title runs were bullshit.
That's what I'm saying. His tag team title runs were bullshit. He shouldn't have held the United States title as long as he did.
They spit in the face of the tag team titles the year that him and Shawn went at it at Mania, and neither one of them came out with the tag belts, but they were the tag team champions.
Mm-hmm.
That to me was like, then what was the point of even putting the belts on them?
As much as I love the two, and they were a great tag team, they did the same thing when Roddy Piper and Ric Flair became the two oldest champions in history. That tag team.
I can't shit on that.
But
it didn't make any sense.
None. And do you know why they made them champions? This is my opinion. Do you know why they made them champions? At the time, they're promoting Celebrity Wife Swap. And it was Roddy Piper switching wives.
Was that around the same time?
Yeah, it was around the same time.
Holy shit. I didn't know that. 2004
or 5 was when they were the tag team champions. Or 2008.
But
2008.
Yeah, but they held them for such a short period that them being champions was like a blip on the radar to me.
You know what's wild is the fact that I think it was that WrestleMania, maybe. It might have been a couple WrestleManias later, where Jericho went in and fought. Where'd you go? Oh, you disappeared and then you came back. I don't know what happened. But anyway.
Me neither, bro.
Chris Jericho versus 3 Hall of Famers just ended up being a Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Chris Jericho match.
Okay, that match should have been Jericho versus
Snooker.
God, I know. No. The original. No, the original guy he was supposed to face was the dude who played in The Wrestler.
Oh,
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
Him and according to the story, him and Mickey Rourke did a back and forth on Larry King Live, and Jericho scared him. And so he said, I'm out. I'm not going to do it. And then people in his camp were like, hey, you have a chance to win an Oscar. So dealing with WWE might prevent you from getting the Oscar. And he didn't win the Oscar anyways, which he should have because that movie's freaking awesome.
My question is, how would going to WWE ruin you getting an Oscar when it's to promote a movie about you being a wrestler?
I know, right? And so what was supposed to be a match between him and Jericho turned into him just laying Jericho out after Jericho beat 3 legends.
But that match should have been, even with Mickey Rourke out, it should have been Steamboat versus Jericho.
Oh, absolutely, because Steamboat could still go. So, like at that time, and even he was surprised at how well he did.
Snuka could barely move. It was depressing.
Yeah. He could barely kill anybody anymore. It's just really sad.
Like, why would you? He had no right being in that fucking ring.
Dude, that joke just completely went over your head.
What'd you say? I missed it.
I said Jimmy Snuka couldn't even kill anybody. It was so sad.
He couldn't. I mean, she just couldn't swim, bro. That's what happened. Living in the Caribbeans and you can't even fucking swim. How despicable. Wasn't that in Puerto Rico when that happened?
He was touring with WWF at the time, so like even Vince has been accused of covering it up because it was his big star. I think, am honest to God, I wasn't there. So remember, folks, this is an opinion, not a fact. He killed her. He got into an argument with her, beat her up, and freaking left her there to die. Came back, found her dead. That's what happened. I'm sorry. Like, the evidence all points towards that being the case.
Bro, he did. Like,
And you want to talk about people wanting to like blacklist Chris Benoit, but then you got something like that, and it's like people still talk very highly of Snuka for what he did in the ring, yes, but as a person, I don't know. I don't know.
Is about the whole Snuka thing, and this isn't me making an excuse what he did. He's a piece of shit, but you can't name ECW without naming the first ECW champion,
Which was Jimmy Snuka, technically.
Technically Superflex. The first Extreme Championship Wrestling champion was what? Terry Funk?
Shane Douglas.
Oh, Shane Douglas. Yeah, that
because
is right.
what had happened, Shane won a tournament to capture the NWA World Title, threw down the World Title, picked up the ECW belt, declared himself the Extreme Championship Wrestling World Champion, and like right after that, they changed the name from Eastern Championship Wrestling to Extreme Championship Wrestling, and they recognized Shane Douglas as the first Extreme Championship Wrestling World Champion.
So he was the first world champion under Paul Heyman's watch because Todd Gordon owned it previously.
Yeah, pretty much. Like they did, like Paul was booking some Eastern stuff, but he was the big force behind changing everything for sure.
Bro, that's fucking. Paul Heyman was such a good mind, but he couldn't handle a checkbook.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely could not handle a checkbook.
When I met New Jack, he was bitching because Paul owned him allegedly, I think $5,000 or $10,000 or something like that.
There's people today still claiming Paul owes them money.
Paul's that guy. Like we all have that guy though.
The hustler you love, even though you shouldn't be friends with him, you shouldn't like him. You should just be like, screw this guy. You're like the second you see him, you go, hey.
Yeah, like
you can't help yourself.
I don't like to let money ruin friendships. Like I hate when I loan people money and they don't pay it back. Like I hate that shit. Like it's,
yeah, me too.
If you can't stick with the deal, don't take it.
I'm always broke, and I hate borrowing money. Like if I can avoid it at any chance, I will. Because like money causes problems.
I don't mind lending out money as long as it's an understanding of whether or not you're paying me back. Like if I lend you a lot of money, then yeah, I expect you to pay.
All right, make sure you make my check for these appearances. By the way, I'm just saying.
It's in the mail. It's right next to Paul Heyman's ECW envelopes. It's going to be.
Good.
It's going to be a little bit till that shows up. But back to the invasion thing, though, a lot of the cool and shocking appearances happened after the angle, like Bishop and Hogan. And
do you know why?
Because they were signed to Turner and not WCW.
That's what I mean. So imagine you were at that time and you're making millions of dollars to sit home for the next year. Would you want to go, no, I'm going to go work for less money and beat myself up on the road all year? No, like you can't blame anybody for not jumping right to WWF.
Wouldn't they get paid both contracts though? If they did
no,
both?
No,
be a breach?
Because legally it would be a breach of contract for them to go against Turner. It's a whole bunch of legal issues. DDP, Booker T were two guys who took WWF's offer, but yeah, they couldn't do both.
Yeah, it's weird. Like we could have gotten a lot more, but the thing is, a lot of the guys that could have joined the invasion were already signed to WWE because they left. They jumped ship. Like it was like a year or two.
Now, could you imagine if they would have, if WCW would have been bought out, the whole thing, and they actually built towards the guys with the big money contracts showing up? If like they would do little jabs at WCW and add a belt and belt and belt. Could you imagine if at WrestleMania main event ends and then all of a sudden here's Hogan, Hall, Nash, and all these WCW guys come in and wrecking shop? What kind of buzz that would have created?
So here's my plan that I had for that year's WrestleMania for the invasion. All right. You have build up.
Oh, wait, we got to do the time machine bang.
All right. WCW gets bought. It's not Shane McMahon revealed. It's Eric Bischoff. But he assigned Shane McMahon the president position. We still have that swerve. We have Nitro. They're taking shots at WWE. WWE's taking shots at them. Due to the Turner contract thing, obviously some people won't be able to be on TV because it's not going to be on Turner. We do the Big Bang pay-per-view that was originally planned. I don't know if you're familiar or not, but
I do know the story, yes.
There was 2 pay-per-views planned with Eric Bischoff. There was Odyssey and there's Big Bang. Big Bang was supposed to reboot everything. So we still do the Big Bang pay-per-view. We don't do the Invasion angle yet. That's coming later. We have The Undertaker over on WWE who has the biker thing. He comes out. Now, he has not mentioned WCW this entire time. And this buildup takes over a year. So one WrestleMania has already passed. WCW is still having Starrcade and shit. So they're having their own separate pay-per-views. They're a separate program. Undertaker comes out and says, I'm tired of this shit. There's only one elite company. And he mentions WCW for the first time on TV himself. All other wrestlers have. And he's like, none of them guys could step up to me. Teaser pops up on the screen. We're coming. The next night, the next week, after much stipulations and shit, Taker comes out. The NWO's music hits. Kevin Nash and Hall come out. Hall and Nash say, we are here, but we didn't bring the Hulkster. The crowd's like, what? We will reveal who the third man is come WrestleMania. You're
a new third man. Oh,
you're a dead man. And they leave. Taker does the whole, am I supposed to be fucking scared thing? We have build-up. Who is Undertaker's opponent at WrestleMania? Now we have a few pay-per-views leading up to then. There's lights go out. Weird shit happens during Taker's matches. Taker has a title match at the Royal Rumble against Triple H. Taker ends up winning. It's a triple threat match. It's Triple H versus Stone Cold versus The Undertaker. Undertaker wins. Lights go out. Lights come back on. There's a baseball bat in the ring.
Ooh, okay.
Fucking wild. Then we have build up at Raw and shit, and they're like, it can't be. Nitro, no mention of it. They're talking like they're taking shots at WWE like they used to, but they're not mentioning the storyline going on Raw. So people are starting to think, did Nash sign whatever? Because they're keeping kayfabe alive. They're 2 separate rosters. So they're wondering, did Vince plant NWO there? Then we have on Nitro, we have like maybe one pay-per-view away from Mania. You've done it now. You've gone and made on Nitro. Taker comes up with the WWE belt. He gets into the ring and says, I'm tired of this bullshit. Who is the third man? Hall and Nash come out and they say, we will reveal it on Monday Night Raw. And the crowd's going crazy in Tampa, Florida. Raw in Tampa, Taker comes out, NWO comes out. They say, we will reveal the third man, and he is, and they do this, and you hear Metallica Seek and Destroy.
Oh, wait, did I get Fusion? okay.
But we hear Metallica Seek and Destroy, and up on the Titantron is a scarecrow, and it says, Sting wants you at WrestleMania. Taker accepts.
Oh, it could have been.
We have Sting versus The Undertaker, American Badass Undertaker at WrestleMania for the WWE title.
Wow, like, man, the one thing that bothers me about fantasy booking is sometimes you'll find people who, like, man, I wish I would have lived in that world.
It could have happened.
You know? That's what I mean. Like, but it could have, should have. A lot of different stories are like that.
But now, since The Undertaker has to worry about the NWO, we have the debut on television of BSK. They come out on motorcycles and they beat the shit out of the NWO on Monday Night Raw. And it is announced at WrestleMania for the WWE title, NWO BSK Iron Man match. The Undertaker versus Sting. Both ran the locker room.
Okay. Undertaker still has to win, obviously, but
that leads up to a Judgment Day match, casket match, Sting versus the Undertaker.
You know, I've always wanted to be in a casket match.
You want to know what's crazy? There was a dream casket match that happened that not a lot of people talk about. Sting versus Vampiro in a casket match actually happened.
Yeah, I remember this. His whole feud with Vampiro should have been bigger than it was. Let's be honest, Vampiro should have been a bigger star than he ended up being.
Vampiro was huge in Mexico.
Or as Hulk Hogan would say, my brother in the face, painting the blood, brother, Vampiro, or as you would call him, Vampiro.
The thing I love about WCW, and it's tragic, is they could have went on after 2001 if Bischoff would have bought, yes. But all the people that ruined the company were gone. And they could have saved it, but they weren't allowed to.
Yeah. They're like WCW. The shame with WCW is its history being like really one of these shows that established wrestling as a big deal in America. That was WCW's history, and to see that kind of get taken away, it was sad. It really was. Personally. And I know you got people now ready to freaking stab their grandmother over AEW versus WWE. I say AEW, WWE, TNA, NWA, all these places making money and doing well is good for everybody, especially us, because guess what? We all eventually want to be able to make money doing this shit.
You know what wrestling companies need to do? And I know this is never going to happen, but we need to go back to the territory rules where everybody...
They're working on it.
Where every wrestler is literally, and you guys are listed as such, but WWE doesn't view it as such. Independent contractors. You can wrestle anywhere you want as long as it doesn't interfere with your main company storyline.
Listen, and I'm going to say this right now, and this is no offense to any independent wrestler out there who is calling themselves champion or is the top guy in their company or what, but the MVP Masters title is the title when it comes to independent wrestling in Pittsburgh, and I am the top guy. It's that simple. And if you want to argue with me, guess what? You know where I'll be. I'll be at the Charleroi Market House, July 3rd, defending the MVP Masters Championship against the scum of the earth, Tyler Grayson. Tickets are only $20. Come on, I know for a fact that most of you got paid more than that, right? Right? Come on. But, enough plugging aside, I apologize. But again, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to show that you are the best professional wrestler in Pennsylvania, this is the title to do it right here.
I think that's how wrestlers should be, though. Like, yes, you have the company that's your main company, but you should be able to wrestle anywhere you want as long as there is no storyline that you're involved with in your main company that would interfere.
You're seeing like WWE did some stuff with GCW, and like they're doing like we mentioned with Noah and AJ Styles. They're letting some of their guys do it, but the problem is, and the problem will always be, the risk of injury because they are paying these guys a lot of money. Now, how would you feel if I'm paying you a lot of money and you go and do some stupid indie thing and end up with a broken neck? Now I got to pay you all this money and can't even use you on TV.
That's why what I'm saying is, as long as you don't have a planned storyline for them, like if
it
you
doesn't even have to be a story, just a match. Even with the lower card guys, one match. If someone drops him on their head wrong.
No, what I'm saying is, as long as you have no plans for this dude, he should be able to wrestle wherever he wants. Because I get it, there's a contract involved. You pay them like a salary in WWE and shit. But in some indie companies, most of them, you get paid per match, per promo, shit like that. And that's how it should be. You should be able to go out there.
To a lot of people, that is how this works. And to some promoters, here's a hot dog and a handshake. Fuck you, Jim Miller. I will always say that. But as far as I'm concerned, like, guys are extremely underpaid, but it's not always anybody's fault. It's just the way the business is sometimes.
Guys over here that's wrestled for fucking IWA are like, you got a hot dog and a handshake? I got a Xanax and a buck rub. Oh, what's up, Moxley? Go check out Wrath of the Fallen. My cousins in that band and my friends are also in that band. They are a great group. Fuck it, I might play their music.
Plugs.
Is that all right? I'm gonna play some of their music.
Go for it. I want to hear some. Sure.
They are a metal band from this area. They just released a new music video, which I would love to pop up here. I want to get Tim on here to talk about it eventually.
I would love that.
Next week, we have Dustin Chafin. He's finally showing up. He had to postpone the podcast because he had like some family shit he had going on.
Life happens, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'm going to play their music video because fuck it.
Yeah, why not? Well, he's like, you ain't going to get sued. You ain't got no money.
I ain't got no money. That's WCW. Hey. I don't need all that. Where the fuck is... Oh, it's saved to that tab. Okay, I got to change it. Give me 1 second.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I didn't realize it was still saved. Don't look at my porn, please.
Now that you mentioned it.
I'm just joking with you. This was actually shot at the Moundsville Penitentiary.
I recognize it.
Here we go. Let me unmute it. I'm going to make it big. I feel like Beavis and Butthead right now.
Fire. Yeah.
What a song hole. Oh, yeah. I love this song, man. That's him. My cousin's right next to him. Oh. Just so I'm clear, that film with blackface is okay.
Hell yeah.
I love these guys. If you ever need to send you some good local bands, dude, I know a lot of them.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the music, bro.
You're good. I tell you. It was like Darth Maul a little bit. Look at that handsome man.
All right, are you there?
Look at that.
I dig it. Dig it.
Look at that. That man right there. He's seen some shit. Man, my cousin looks like he's used to being there.
I can't go too crazy. I'll knock my camera over. Very good.
The Scooby-Doo chase tune.
Nice little nod to Scooby-Doo here. I dig it.
Yeah, right. Hey, Tim, let's have you on Tuesday, next Tuesday. If that works for you, let me know.
You talking to me or your cousins?
I was talking to Tim. If you can
All
come
right,
on,
you're away from the mic. That's why I couldn't hear you.
if you come next Tuesday, bro, I would bring you on now, but we're getting to the hour and 5-minute mark. We're probably going to cut it off here in about 20 minutes. I'd like to have a full-blown, long-ass conversation with you. You're handsome.
Word up, word up.
I am.
Sounds like it'd be a good episode.
This room is fucking hot.
Dude, I'm sweating like a whore in church.
Bro, now you know, because I'm a whore and I've been to church. I'm just kidding.
I'm surprised I'm even allowed in churches anymore, but that's beside the point.
So something I learned recently that's kind of wild is like, I like to look into various religions. Like I look in like, how are you going to know which one's your religion if you don't like try on different sizes? You know what I mean? Like they should have a fitting room for religions. But anyway, ever look into Levian Satanism?
I do know that the majority of Satanists, or at least the Satanist religion,
Sorry.
They openly claim that we don't really worship Satan. We more believe in, live your best life to the best of your abilities. And in that regard, I can respect that. The whole reason they use Satan is because it makes people feel uncomfortable, because it makes people go, what the hell, and look and ask questions. And
well, also, Satanism is a form of theism. It's atheism, kind of. They don't believe in a good or bad per se. They believe if religion was real, it's written from the mindset of the bad guy instead of the other way around. So they use Satan not as their God because they don't believe in that. They use Satan as like an image because he believed in himself. He did him.
right.
And pretty much the Bible teaches the same thing. You're supposed to worship yourself. You're your own temple. Literally, Satanism is as close to Christianity as Christianity is.
And again, not to get into the super religious stuff because I don't like to bore people with it, but I've read the book. I've been to church. I know the stories. At the end of the day, if your religion promotes loving each other, caring about people, taking care of people, finding value in your relationships over possessions and money, then you're on the right path. That's why a lot of people, you could say Jesus was like a Jewish Buddha. Like, so really, as long as your faith preaches those kind of things, I got no problem with nobody.
Bro, Jesus, we whitewash the fuck out of Jesus. He looks like Tommy Chong and Up in Smoke. Like, what the fuck is my boy? Like, he was a Muslim, bro. Like
he was Middle Eastern, at least. Like, I'm not going to say he was Muslim because he was considered Jewish.
Yeah, he was Jewish.
But if you look at if he, in the words of a very famous comedian, if Jesus was alive back when he was, back then, this color, they would have killed him a lot faster.
The biggest miracle was they found a fucking Mark, Luke, and John in the Middle East. Like, I think that's I've never met a Middle Eastern.
Keep that one. That's a good one. That is a very good one.
I think I've heard that somewhere though. I don't know.
I have not, so that was good.
Tim, we're about ready to cut this off because I'm sweating my ass off. My room has no AC.
Mine does, but it sucks.
But stand-up comedy. You need to come out. You need to come out. I have 2 events I'm doing. Holy shit balls. Give me 1 second here. Let me bring it up. I made a little flyer for myself because I don't know if
I saw it, and I did promote it.
I'm not sure if it's just my ego or what, but I created a flyer. I forget what it's called though. Oh, here it is. It is, I'm not on tour. This is not a tour. I'm going to add more dates onto this same flyer, but update it. But this is not a tour, but here's your flyer. We have OVDJ Summerfest on July 13th, 2024. That is a 1-day festival. It is on a Saturday. It is amazing. Come on out. It's going to be at the same venue. I do believe it's the same exact venue as OVDJ Campout, which is another great festival. That one's 2 days. And then we're going to be at RNL Strength and Conditioning 4th Annual Summer Bash, July 20th.
Hey, I recognize one of them handsome sons of bitches on that poster.
Yeah, you're handsome, dude. You're over us. I think that Summerfest picture kind of has you covered up, but not much. I think. You're sitting next to Pork Chop, weren't you?
I think I'd have to look at the poster. I didn't know you could show the posters on here, or I would have had you doing that.
Send me them, bro. I can do anything you can think of. I can do on here, but show my balls. You have to go to OnlyFans for that and pay.
I'll remember that. I'll remember that because Mon Valley Pro Wrestling is going out to Missouri for some events. We're all over the place. So any way we could get the word out from Mon Valley Pro Wrestling, absolutely.
You know how weird it would be to have like stand-up comedy for a wrestling event as well? That'd be fucking weird, wouldn't it?
Rob Van Dam tried to pitch something like that, but
Rob Van Dam did stand-up, and he did, I love you, Rob. And you might not realize you did what you did. You might not realize what you did, but Rob did an interview and was talking. He's like, I'm going to do stand-up comedy. So he said, stand-up can't be that hard. It's just guys talking on stage. He went up there, dude, and just because he was Rob, people laughed and cheered, but like he bombed.
Oh yeah, I've seen his set, and he got some funny stuff, but nothing over the top.
It's basically a one long wrestling promo of him telling his life story.
And it's the same set every time you see him, from what I've heard.
Rob's a great guy, though. I don't want to shit on Rob, but
on my list to smoke with for sure.
Mine too, but don't come into my world.
Oh shit! Them some fighting words right there.
You stay in your world.
This is the part where a chair comes flying into your shot and you get Van Daminated. Just so you know.
I want that to be a thing, dude. Like, I'm working on a championship belt that says champion of comedy or whatever that I'm going to start wearing. And
what you need is the pink sock heavyweight championship of the world. That's what you need.
I need the comedy championship and the pink sock, like the podcasting championship. Like, you know, Howard Stern's the best media personality ever. I want to take on the personality of like the best podcaster, even though Joe Rogan exists, but
you and Joe Rogan in a cage match of podcast. Let's do it.
Have you seen how that guy kicks? Fuck that. I'm not wrestling him, dude. Could you imagine a foot job from him? He'd tear that fucking thing off.
You not just fucking say that.
I fucking did, bro. Joe Rogan could sell feet pics, dude. You're fucking good. Joe Rogan, if you're listening to this, guys, send this to Joe Rogan. I would love to talk to him. Wearing shirt, of course. The shirt comes with it because his studio, he can afford a fucking AC. Like, I didn't.
Damn right. Like, and a blunt the size of your head.
I would like for them to bring Fear Factor back, but I think it might get canceled with some of the fears we come up with.
Didn't they bring it back for like a period?
Yeah, and that show was so weird. It was one of those shows that shouldn't have lasted as long as it did. Like Joe Rogan standing over top of somebody eating balls, and he's like, "Keep going, keep going."
Yeah, I watched it as a kid, and it was okay schlock television back then, but I don't think you could get away with that crap now.
That was damn near assault.
Yeah.
Like,
speaking of assault, MVP Wrestling, July 3rd, Charleroi Market House, Charleroi, Pennsylvania. I will be assaulting that son of a bitch, Tyler Grayson, for daring to come after this, for daring to come after what's rightfully mine, for daring to stand up to the Black Sheep Society. Mon Valley Pro Wrestling, July 3rd, Charleroi Market House, Charleroi, Pennsylvania. Seats are only $20, and I promise you it'll be the best $20 you have ever spent because you get to see my beautiful mug kick him right in the teeth.
So you said you're gonna assault him, so I need like a scale, like the Rock Mankind I Quit assault, or like New Jack Gypsy Joe assault, like on a scale.
You're just gonna have to buy a ticket and find out like the rest of them, brother. I'm sorry.
I end up buying a ticket. I go in there, I jump the rail, and I just. Do you guys have a rail? Or are you like the indie company that has a rail, or do you just have like seats around the ring?
No rail, but there is security.
Okay. I'm gonna say fuck. I've always watched indie wrestling companies with no rail. I'm like, that's got to.
That's what I love. That I'll be honest with you. As much as it's a safety thing, an indie show without rails feels very intimate and very in your face, and I enjoy that.
Yeah, but could you imagine the intensity of an audience like ECW without rails?
Oh, Jesus Christ, in a handbasket, yeah.
Like Bubba Ray Dudley almost got fucking beat the shit out of with a rail.
I've seen the footage. It's insane. It's insane.
Did you see how brutal Bubba Ray Dudley was when he fought the Usos? They're like, he was the bloodline hater. He's like, this one's for High Chief Peter Mayville. This one's for The Rock.
You can say a lot of things about Bubba Ray Dudley. Light is not one of them.
Well, the last thing he said had me crying laughing. He's like, this is for your 97 fucking cousins. That's a big fucking family, dude. But
yeah, but the Dudleys versus the Bloodline, make it happen. I'm talking about bring back dances with Dudleys. Put some more glasses on some people. Let's get some new Dudleys in there. Let's do Dudleys versus Bloodline. Do it.
Yeah, are we gonna forget the Dudley Boys was created as like an incest group? They were
not. They were not incest. It was Daddy Dudley was a traveling salesman.
Oh yeah,
and the only Dudley who claimed to be a pure Dudley, who was an incest Dudley, was Dudley Dudley.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, what I mixed up my words. I didn't mean to say they're all incest. I meant to say one of them was. However, when he started with the Dudleys, Bubba Ray Dudley's name was Bubba Ray Dudley because he had a stutter.
Mm-hmm. So his name should have been Bub Dudley.
Yeah, Bub Dudley.
Instead of Bubba Ray. So it'd be Bub Ray Dudley, not Bubba Ray Dudley.
Ray Dudley, bro. Ray. And you know what's crazy is like us now, we're like, oh, the Dudley boys, like they're brothers. Like they're not actually related, they're brothers.
They were one of me and my brother's inspirations. They really were. Them, the Hardys, Edge and Christian, who were all brothers back then. So,
but when the Dudley boys first came out, though, they were legitimately billed as brothers, which was hilarious on ECW when they revealed that Devon and Bubba were brothers. They're like, we don't look anything.
They're about as much brothers as Kane and Undertaker.
Like, what? Like, you know what blows people's minds is I'm a big fan of Cheech and Chong, as I stated in the past. Tommy Chong.
Dave's not here, man.
Tommy Chong's Chinese.
Yeah.
That's how he got his name, Chong.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Did you ever watch the movie Hey Man? It was his. So, okay, when Cheech and Chong broke up, Cheech did Born in East LA, which was a hit. Tommy Chong did Hey Man, which I think should have been the hit. Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
Fucking hilarious. There's a scene where Tommy Chong's in a semi driving and he's like starting to doze off, and Cheech comes out from the back. He's like, hey man, wake up. And he's like, Cheech? And Cheech is like, I'm in the wrong fucking movie, man. And he
That's funny. Me and my missus just watched the Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie they came out with like 3 years ago. Hilarious. Great freaking movie.
Good
The fact that
segue,
they
bro.
got away with so many cameos that they don't own, it's amazing.
Bro, I'm glad you mentioned Chippendale, the Rescue Rangers or whatever, because another
Chippendale.
really good children's movie, and this will have you dying laughing now that you know this. You know the movie Lion King?
Yes.
The three hyenas? Do you know who was originally cast as two of those hyenas?
No.
Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong.
That would have been epic. That
But
would have been
Disney
epic.
caught on and was like, we're not having, because Cheech and Chong hadn't been together in like 12 years. And like, we're not having a Cheech and Chong reunion in a fucking kid show. We're not.
That would have been epic.
So
I would have loved it.
Cheech was contracted to Disney, Chong was not. So they fired Chong or didn't cast him or whatever and had Whoopi Goldberg instead. But could you imagine? Hey man, we need to get to the lion.
I could see it, and it would have been fucking beautiful. Shame on you for not doing it for the live action remake, Disney.
Yeah, you let Disney.
Oh wait, we can't talk shit about Disney. We'll die. They have snipers.
No, they have pedophiles.
And oh my God, you realize we're like that close to the end of the podcast, right? Like that's how you want to end this shit.
That's how I'm ending it.
We started with pedo jokes. We're going to end with them.
Look up Brian Peck. He was the guy that got arrested, served 4 years in jail. I think it was 4 years. Served about 4 years in jail for essaying Jake Bell.
Yep.
And then turned around and got hired by Disney.
I know, right? Just throw it here. Like that whole thing is another 2-hour conversation in its own right. But
do you know who else he had contact with? That's shady. He was pen pals with fucking John Wayne Gacy. He was also friends with Victor Salva. Do you know who Victor Salva is?
Name sounds familiar.
Victor Salva was the creator of Jeepers Creepers. He served 10 years in jail for essaying a 12-year-old girl. And then he turned around and did Jeepers Creepers and I believe a couple Disney movies. If he didn't, he had connections with people at Disney.
Ladies and gentlemen, your childhood is not sacred. It was all created by evil motherfuckers.
Dude, my childhood was screwed when I watched two lesbians eating shit out of a cup. Let's be honest. I was born during the
I knew of it, but I was never pranked with that. Thank God. And I swear to God, if you send me that link, I am going.
Hold on.
You show up to RL Strengthening, and I'm going choppy. You send me that link, brother.
Hold on. Let me play it for you. Hold on. Let me get it.
This is going on YouTube, right? So I don't know if you can air that.
I'm not. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to bring back some childhood memories for the people that did get to watch this lovely film. I found the song that plays during it.
Oh, dear Jesus Christ.
I might get hit with a copyright strike, but
probably
if this episode gets even aired.
we're two guys practically sitting around naked, friggin' talking about God knows. Oh, dear Jesus Christ.
The song that plays during it.
All I can think of is the Tosh.0 episode where he does the live reaction to it.
What's crazy is the best reaction to it I ever saw was Ace Frehley of Kiss. He said he was watching it like this. I'm not lying. Watch the footage. My man is like this the whole time. He's like, when are they going to bring the toilet paper? And he's just sitting there watching it. And it was on Opie and Anthony. So Jim Norton was there, and Jim's like, no reaction. And Ace Frehley's like, I've seen a lot worse than that on the road, that's for sure. I'm more into water sports. It's less messy. That was his reply.
Okay, so on that wonderful note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the Pink Sock Podcast tonight. We apologize for all your mental scar issues that we have caused. Make sure you get a good shot of this. keep your, give the lady something to look at for the next minute or so.
Look at this.
Dude, you should totally like shave Pink Sock Podcast into your chest. Like it would be epic.
Dude,
But-
I've always been told that when I wear my spandex that I wore at the last comedy show, I look like the wrestler that loses every match. Like
Yeah, you do. You do. Remember, everybody, MVP Wrestling, Charleroi Market House, July 3rd, 6 p.m. start time, $20 tickets. It's going to be me versus Tyler Grayson for the MVP Masters Championship. It's going to be a beating you ain't going to want to miss.
Love you all, and as always, I am your
Hail to the Black Sheep.
I'm your podcast champion, and I am the king. Well, not the king. I'm the champion. Actually, I don't like people calling themselves the king of comedy. I'm the jester of comedy because them motherfuckers actually make you laugh. I'm out. Love you all. Live it all. Rock hard.